Okay, good morning everyone. Welcome to our second press conference on behalf of the Senate minority. Just wanted to bring you up to date on a number of things. First of all, today is the 13th day of the 60-day legislative session. We're still scheduled to adjourn on Thursday, May 5th, and we're going to have the 5-day mandatory recess starting on Thursday, the 24th. A couple of items to talk about. We, of course, passed from the Senate two bills, the Civil Unions Bill and the Appointed School Board Rules Bill, over to the House. So far, we have not received any House bills, and interestingly enough, we have not received the legislative budget, which normally is the first bill that's passed every year to pay ourselves. Obviously, our staffs have been paid, or they'd be out in the streets right now saying, "Down with Mubarak!" Oh no, down with somebody. Anyway, we have not received that bill. It's still in House Finance from what Mel was able to check. And more importantly, the operating budget has not gotten any closer to us. I talked to the budget director, interim director, Calvert Young. His strategy now is, as he says, to release the budget piecemeal, department by department. But that's not going to work because, just like a puzzle, you're not going to have all of the pieces, and you need that. As you remember, the budget is traditionally due prior to the start of the legislative session. This is the first time since statehood that any administration has failed to provide the budget in a timely manner. And since this is the most important single issue, you would think that there'd be a sense of urgency from the fifth floor, but apparently that's not true. While the budget has not come and the legislative budget has not come, I can tell you that we have more proposed special funds than in the past 5 years together. And this is a very disturbing situation because, as you know, three things happen with the special funds. First of all, the legislature cannot mandate that they be used for exactly the purpose that they're set up for. You can talk a lot about it, but you can't mandate that. Secondly, there's no guarantee that the fund will stay solvent or independent of the legislature rating that fund. And thirdly, the special funds are off the books, so to speak. They're really hard to track. They're not part of the regular operating budget. And a lot of organizations and a lot of departments are going this route just for that purpose, so that it makes it harder to track what the total amount of expenditures are. There are also, I think I said at the opening of the legislative session, if the proposed tax increases don't get you this year, the fees will get you by 1,000 cuts, because every agency, every department now is trying to increase its fees. And it's $25 here, $35 there, but soon it adds up into real money. And the problem is, again, in many of the cases there's no substantiation of what the fees are going to be used for, except the two arguments: we haven't raised them in X number of years, number one, and number two, we need the money. That's the argument that's being used. The Senate yesterday confirmed the new Director of Transportation and also the Director for Hawaiian Homelands. I supported both of those nominations. The nominee of Senate Associate Justice to the Supreme Court, Justice Sabrina McKenna, was approved by unanimous vote in the Senate Judiciary Committee last Friday. I also supported that nomination as well. The governor has appointed Kauai Representative Hermina Morita to chair the Public Utilities Commission. I have reservations about her credentials. I will keep an open mind, but we'll be asking some serious questions during the nomination confirmation hearings. I am concerned about a number of bills that seek to basically make serious changes with the PUC, specifically in the area of helping certain local monopoly businesses. There are some bills that would open up the process and require public hearings, and I do support that. But there are a couple of bills, for example, that have been designed directly to use one company in one instance, Young Brothers. Recently, the PUC, after months of investigation, allowed Pasha, Hawaii, to enter the inter-island barge service. Now, that caused Senator Baker from Maui to gather the troops. They had an informational briefing a couple weeks ago, which I participated in, and since then they've introduced several bills to, in my humble opinion, to emasculate the PUC, make it more of a people's kind of organization rather than a professional organization, to require additional people on the PUC and one from each neighbor island. In addition to that, if the PUC rules, as they did in the Pasha case, if somebody that's already there, subsidized, doesn't like it, they can force the PUC to reopen the hearings or to extend the hearings. I find this very disturbing because, again, it is another part of Hawaii's non-competitive monopoly status. And for Young Brothers' part, they were able to successfully threaten neighbor island shippers that if they went along with any of these proposals to allow Pasha or anyone else, that Young Brothers might discontinue service, they might raise their rates, they might do both. Well, actually, in order to do either or both, they have to get PUC approval because they are a regulated utility. What we found out directly from Young Brothers and from some of their supporters in that initial briefing and in a hearing yesterday was that they don't want competition, they don't think we need competition, and they will fight against competition. That's not just going on in the barge service, inter-island service, but as you know, we no longer have a super ferry and we have very few opportunities for competition. So I find that a disturbing trend. On the good news front, we are spending most of our time and resources right now for the animals. And I think that's much more important than helping business or the public or addressing the budget. And of course, as you know, we have the feral cats bill, hasn't been scheduled for hearing as yet. The aquarium fish bill banning the fish. The foie gras bill is back. We have dogs, we have snakes, we have just about everything here. It is a real menagerie, or as I like to describe the big square building, one big cat house. And yesterday we got the elephant bill. Matt here described it as the elephant divorcement bill because it will force elephants either into civil unions or to live apart unless each elephant gets 1 acre of land. Now, I would like 1 acre of land myself, but this is reserved for the elephants, except that I think this is an end around to attack Republicans again. They didn't do it for donkeys or jackasses, although maybe some of the jackasses are involved in the production of this bill. So, we're happily working with that. Yesterday, the 5.5-hour hearing on death without dignity was held in the auditorium, and the result of that was to hold the bill by a vote of 4-0. We heard basically the same arguments that we had before. My position has always been I'm opposed to physician-assisted suicide. I believe in that Hippocratic oath, first do no harm. There are ways in which people that are terminally ill have options right now. I took care of both my parents individually when they were in pain and dying and all of that. And I say that I understand the emotions involved here, and I understand the physical, the emotional, and the financial problems that one goes through at end of life. But physician-assisted suicide is not the course, and I was glad that the Health Committee held that bill. On another bright note, we're getting closer to allowing more people to smoke more marijuana. And we, of course, in California and elsewhere, they call them distribution centers. Here we like to refer to them euphemistically as compassion zones. But if you go outside here, you know that my office manager has a no compassion zone set up around his office.